When you think about yourself personally, about spending money on yourself, how much can you spend usefully on yourself, right? You can buy nice food. You're talking about hundreds of thousands a year, right? You can get to millions a year with like fancy things, but like after the 10th car, it's not clear what you're doing, right? Like it's hard to spend more than millions a year in like an effective way on yourself, even if you really wanted to. This way you might think, for instance, that in like 5 minutes with an internet connection, you could create such a box and such a token. And
this is like, he made this analogy about a box, that you can create a box and you can just start putting money into it. You know, anybody can create a box. As long as people are putting money into it, the box will increase in value.
that it should reflect like, you know, it should be worth like $180 or something market cap for like that, you know, that effort that you put into it. In the world that we're in, if you do this, everyone's going to be like, ooh, box token. Maybe it's cool. If you buy a box token.
I love money just as much as the next guy, but I mean, you're playing with people's lives at this point. I mean, all that death and destruction just so you can put some money in your pocket. That's crazy.
And it's not just some, it's a whole bunch.
It's a significant amount, but come on, man. I don't care how much it is. These people already got money. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's topic, we got FTX. You know me, like I try and pay attention to a lot of the financial stuff, you know, what's going on, and I thought it was interesting, you know. And there's even a Ukraine connection here, and that's what really sparked my interest. So, you know, I'm listening to a lot of streams, you know, about the stock market, and a lot of people they're just kind of confused, like what's actually going on and how did these people lose their money? And basically it had to do with FTX, their FTT token. And I got a video that we're going to go through. It's an interview that I believe Yahoo Finance did with Sam Bankman-Fried. Weird name. He took his mother's last name and his father's last name, so it's kind of weird. But Sam Bankman-Fried, he did an interview with Yahoo Finance about 6 months ago, and people were calling this. And it's basically him selling the FTT tokens. These tokens, he just made them up out of thin air. They're not backed by anything. He just, it's the same as me or you or anybody. It's like if I had an Edward token and I said, hey, you know what? I got this Edward token. I think it should be worth $1,000 for one of these Edward tokens. And then I say, you know what? I think I got 10 million of them too. So he goes and he's selling these things, man. It's wild. And eventually Binance, they figured something wasn't going right, and they had like millions. It could have been in the billions of these FTT tokens, and then they just liquidated all of them. They sold them. The price of the FTT tokens just dropped, and then that's when we found out that FTX was insolvent. They didn't have the assets. They were a crypto exchange. They didn't even have the currencies that they were trading for people. Like they didn't even have Bitcoin on their balance sheet. And they were basically just taking people's money and just doing whatever, living it up. But there's a little bit more to that. I want to play a couple videos. I mean, these guys, they can go through it a lot better than I can. Got some right.
I was looking into that, by the way. I tried to make my own token, and it's not that hard. If I tell you, you just have to have.
We got the expert here, Sam.
The gas.
He can show you.
You're up and running. So.
Let me see.
Yeah, but the problem is backing it up, not creating the token.
Yeah, but that's the whole principle of the crypto market right now.
Bankman-Fried is doubling down on his embrace of effective altruism. I spoke with Sam earlier this month where he alluded to his plans to give most of his fortune away. Take a listen.
When you think about yourself personally, about spending money on yourself, how much can you spend usefully on yourself, right? You can buy nice food. You're talking about hundreds of thousands a year, right? You can get to millions a year with like fancy things, but like after the 10th car, it's not clear what you're doing. Right? Like it's hard to spend more than millions a year in like an effective way on yourself, even if you really wanted to.
Of crypto exchange FTX
Right.
continuing that conversation over at the crypto
You
conference.
don't think so?
What did he say?
That you're only able to spend on yourself X amount of money,
Okay.
because
Yeah, he's a
there's
good
no
guy.
effective way to spend it on yourself, unless you give it to other people, of course. But
I don't know about that one. I could think of some ways to spend money, man. If I had the money, like if I was like a billionaire, right?
yeah,
I'd buy a yacht. I would have a yacht. I'd have like
and
one
then
of
you
the
buy
biggest.
a yacht. You buy a yacht.
That's
now
a
you
lot of
have
money.
the yacht.
That's a lot of
Now
money.
you have
right
the
there.
yacht.
That's
What
like
you do then?
that's like tens of millions of dollars just a year just to run that yacht if it's big enough, right? So that's a lot of money right there, man.
Bro, what are you doing? A yacht or a cruise ship, man? Like,
That's how much it costs us to run those.
yeah, but I'm
They
saying
say like the rule I heard. Let's say if you have a $200 million yacht, it's going to cost you 10% of that each year to maintain it. So $200 million yacht, that's $20 million a year just to run it.
Yeah.
You got to think. You got to crew it. You got to maintain it. The fuel, all that. Yeah. That'd be
Now
lot
you
of
got a
money.
yacht.
Yeah. So now what?
What do you have to maintain it? You got the cost. You got it covered. You got the money for it. You're backed, and what else? You have still money left to spend, and what else can you put it on?
I don't
Or
know.
yourself, of course.
You know what? Because it gets weird. You know what I mean? Like these guys who claim that they're being altruistic, they're not. That's the issue. They're not. Bill Gates
That's
is my favorite. All that money he's giving away. They're giving that money for a reason.
Of course.
What else we got here? This is him talking
Can't.
about
From
the,
like first principles,
the
it should be zero.
FTT
But okay.
token.
Sure, okay. I completely reasonable comment.
Like, I mean, like that's not quite true, but it like when you describe it in this totally cynical way, it sounds like it should be zero. But go on.
Describe it this way: you might think, for instance, that in like 5 minutes with an internet connection, you could create such a box and such a token. And
this is like he made this analogy about a box. That you can create a box and you can just start putting money into it. You know, anybody can create a box. As long as people are putting money into it, the box will increase in value.
that it should reflect like, you know, it should be worth like $180 or something market cap for like that, you know, that effort that you put into it. In the world that we're in, if you do this, everyone's going to be like, ooh, box token. Maybe it's cool. If you buy a box token, you know, that's going to appear on Twitter and it'll have a $20 million market cap.
All right, red flag 3. My man just said, maybe in your world, a box that does nothing can't be worth $20 million, but in my world, 20 million minimum. And this is sort of where things go full Ponzi, we don't even try to hide it. Money goes up because more money goes in, and more money's going in because money goes up.
So, you know, X tokens being given out each day. All these like sophisticated firms are like, huh, that's interesting. Like if the total amount of money in the box is $100 million, then it's going to yield $16 million this year in X tokens being given out for it. That's a 16% return. That's pretty good. We'll put a little bit more in, right? And maybe that happens until there are $200 million in the box. So, you know, sophisticated traders and or people on crypto Twitter or other sort of similar parties go and put $200 million in the box collectively, and they start getting these X tokens for it, right? And now all of a sudden everyone's like, wow, people just...
The X tokens, that's his FTT tokens. And I think a lot of the value of his company, I mean, it was wrapped up in these FTT tokens that he just created out of thin air. It's like, how is he worth all this money? And they're saying that, oh, he lost like over $10 billion in one day. It's like, what? Where was this money? Most of it was FTT tokens that he just created.
Just decide to put $200 million in the box. This is a pretty cool box, right? Like this is a valuable box, as demonstrated by all the money that people have apparently decided should be in the box. And who are we to say that they're wrong about that? Like, this is I mean, boxes can be great. Look, I love boxes as much as the next guy, right? And so what happens now? All of a sudden, people are kind of recalibrating. It's like, well, $20 million, that's it? Like that market cap for this box, and it's been like 48 hours, and it already has $200 million, including from like sophisticated players in it.
Are you guys hearing this? He literally just described a Ponzi scheme, unironically, and said at the top of this interview, by the way, that this is one of the most important things in DeFi right now.
The man's just created money out of nowhere, but it's even deeper than that, because basically,
no. He didn't create money out of nowhere. He created a scheme expecting others to provide the money, to bring in the money, to deposit the money. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he's creating some sort of weird, right? He's not creating money. It's some weird value that he's creating out of nowhere with this this box, these FTT tokens.
I mean,
He's selling something for money, and that's where you get it.
Yeah, but
He's selling air for money.
Okay. Well, let's get this straight. When you sell something, I'm taking something with me home, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not a sale.
What are you talking about?
If I sell you air, you can take air home. But
Okay. All right. I'll take that. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna pocket some air and take it with me. I get it.
Well, hey,
Because
they
he
sell
said a
water.
box that does nothing, so I guess it would equivalent to air in a box. Let's do that. All right. I'm
like Ed's trying to say, I think it's even deeper than that, because value is based on the people putting the money in.
Absolutely, but that's where I'm going.
And as soon as they stop putting the money in, it collapses.
Absolutely. So you know what's crazy? There's somebody that's called butter, okay, mantequilla in my country. I don't know if you know about that, nigga. His name is Mantequilla, okay? And what he was doing is going to every town, starting at his town, and he would go and say, hey, listen, I got an investment opportunity, and what we're gonna do is, like, you give me $100 and I'll give you another $100. So that's 100% profit. You understand? Which is impossible. Like, how are you gonna give me 100% profit? What are you making then? But people fell for it. It's too good to be true, but people still fell for it. Started giving him money, and the first few people he did give 100% back, like in earnings. You understand? So those who get $100, they get a $200 back. And but
Where those $100 come from that they get on profit?
from the other person. So the more people that invest, the more people he can pay off. And if you play your cards right, you just go around with the money that Nagayan gives me, I'll pay off Edwards, that.
Yeah.
And once everybody like started doing lines and everything, like to give him the money, he took all the money. And then he started having problems with banks and cops and all this stuff. Okay, so then he started having issues after that. That is a scheme. That's not an investment.
Yeah, it's a Ponzi scheme. That's what it is.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and well, basically with FTX, they were promising people 6%. It wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't 100, but 6. Matter of fact, I think it could have been 8%. 8% a year. And even that is too high. You got to ask, like, how are you making 8%? You know what I mean?
Listen, if you tell me 10%, I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna look into you.
No,
Like,
you can do it, but it's high risk. You can do it.
Yeah, not everybody trying to do all that.
When I first started
investing.
investing, I made over 100%, because I was actively trading. So I mean, but that was a lot of risk. It was a lot of stress, and you can do it, but you have to be actively in the market.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I once almost fell for one Ponzi scheme, by the way. Back in the days, I think 5 years or 10 years ago, even more than that, there was a company called ACN, they call it, and they were providing like cheaper cell phone contracts and energy contracts, and you had
This is over there, right?
yeah, this was over here, and you had to actually join in. You had to invest like 500 euros for you to be able to sell those contracts to people around you, your friends and family and people that you know. But the twist behind it was, I looked into it, that they weren't actually selling those contracts. They were just selling the image that goes with being able to earn your own money by selling your family members those contracts. But the scheme was that you had to ask more people to join because
That's a pyramid scheme. Like
that's
you gotta stay at the top and make sure people are under you, working for you while you make the money. So you kind of take the place of, the person that presented this idea to you, and he goes up and you stay at his place. Yeah,
But
that's a pyramid.
But this whole story, right? The reason why at first I was just, oh, this is just another crypto exchange. It went down. It happens all the time. But the Ukraine connection, not just the Ukraine connection, but the whole connection with the government, and that Sam Bankman-Fried, his family, like these guys, like they buy off politicians. This is what they do. They're lobbyists. And he was basically using the profits, the proceeds, whatever money he was getting from FTX, he was using that to buy off politicians and to influence them, and he was using it to fund Democrats. And he's the largest Democrat donor right under George Soros. George Soros is number one. Sam is number two. And Sam was saying that for the 2024 presidential election, he wants to fund them. He wants to give at least $1 billion to Democrats, and that'll make him the largest, I guess.
Why? For what?
Well, you're gaining some sort of influence, right? If you're giving these people this kind of money so they can run their campaigns, you've just bought them. They owe you now. And he's going to say, oh, it's because of change, and it's because I'm helping, and oh, the Democrats, we need them, and oh. He's going to say that, but no, that's not what it is. And and you got to think, like, where is this guy even getting his money from, right? Because now he's insolvent. So where was he getting the money from before? And this is where Ukraine comes in. Our country has given tens of billions of dollars to Ukraine. Ukraine was buying the FTT tokens, and then that money was going to fund Democrats. I mean, it's just straight up money laundering at that point. And now they're saying, and I was going through Twitter, and Elon even said, well, he's the biggest Democrat donor, so he probably won't get investigated. Even now, they know where this guy is at. No one's arrested him. So we'll see. We'll see.
I actually heard the same story, not about the FTT tokens, but more in the sense that the Democrats actually want the war to continue because
yes,
it funds their pockets actually.
Yes. It's just money laundering. The money goes over there, then they got companies or NGOs or whatever set up, and then the money somehow circles back around to them. And it's crazy because it's like, I love money just as much as the next guy, but I mean, you're playing with people's lives at this point. I mean, all that death and destruction just so you can put some money in your pocket? That's crazy.
And it's not just some; it's a whole bunch.
It's a significant amount, but come on, man, I don't care how much it is. These people already got money. But you guys got anything? Oh, Andrew, you got something?
No, like what makes you bring this up? Like, you got any solution? Like any ideas for this or any?
Well, that's why I brought it up, the Ukraine thing.
Just for okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I thought that was
I wanted to see if you had a different take on it, like a side vision on it. I don't know if that's technically. Okay, Nagayan, you got anything to add to it?
I'm good, man. That was.
I have a question, but I don't want it to start something. You think when the U.S. decided to help the Ukraine out, they thought that was a winning battle?
I don't think that ever happened. Oh,
What
you
you
know
mean?
me. You know me. We got like different theories. You think that it's Ukraine fighting, well, Russia invaded for no reason. My theory is that Ukraine doesn't even really have a government. Ukraine, Zelensky takes orders directly from Washington, and he did what he did because because the United States wanted him to provoke a response from the Russians. That's my take on it.
Okay.
So that it's not about helping anybody.
Okay. Well, that was pretty much it then. I like I said, I don't want to like divert this
You
conversation.
don't want to go into Ukraine again, man. You don't want to do that.
No, it's just because maybe you're right, but let's say they do have a government. Um, wouldn't it be convenient to have them owe us a favor?
What,
But that's even better if it comes directly from Washington. That kind of makes even more sense.
he's not his own man. Like there's a video. I might play it one day where matter of fact I'll find it. Maybe we can do a video about it where he's actually going to the border of Donbass or whatever, the Russian-Ukrainian border, and he's going there and he's talking to some of the Azov battalion guys, Zelensky, and he's telling them like, hey, we're going to have peace. We're going to stop this. We're going to end this. This was back in, I think, 2019, and he was saying, we're going to have peace. We're going to stop this. This is going to be over. You're going to put your weapons away and you're going to stop fighting these people. He's talking to the Azov guys, these Nazis. And it's this young lieutenant. The guy looks like he's about maybe, I think the guy was like 28, 29. And he wasn't laughing at Zelensky, but he was talking in a way to where you could tell he wasn't taking Zelensky seriously. And Zelensky got mad at the guy and said, you know who you talking to? I'm the president. I'm not no loser. I'm only 40 years old and I'm the president of Ukraine. I'm looking at this guy like, bruh, you shouldn't be like, if you're the president, you shouldn't be having this 30-year-old lieutenant going back and forth with him like this. This is crazy. This is showing that you're not really in control. Because if you're the commander, you're not sitting here talking to some 28, 29-year-old lieutenant arguing with him. That's crazy.
I would like to see that, Ed.
But basically, he doesn't really have control. And if he would have pushed that issue, they would have killed him. I believe that they would have killed him. If the moment he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, he's done. But yeah, the video's there. I'll find it. But I think we're at 21 minutes, guys.
They would kill the lieutenant. You say?
I'm gonna stop it right here.